Hey champs of Examsnet, welcome to the question series of Examsnet. I hope this series of detailed explanation is helping you a lot. In this session, we are going to discuss NEET 2015 biology paper. So without any delay, let's begin the session. The first question is from the chapter Animal Kingdom. And the question is, which of the following endoparasites of humans does show viviparity? Okay, so endoparasites are the parasites which live inside our body, and viviparity is a characteristic by which endoparasites will directly produce embryos. Okay, produce embryos. Whereas in case of oviparity, they will lay eggs. Okay, so let's go through the options here. The first option is Enterobius vermicularis. Now this has a common name, pinworm. Okay, pinworm is the common name of this endoparasite, and it lays eggs. Lays eggs. That means it shows oviparity, not viviparity. So definitely it is not the correct answer. Let's move to the other option. Second one is Trichinella spiralis. Yes, this is the correct option. Let's write it down here for Trichinella spiralis. The common name of this endoparasite is pigworm. Okay, pigworm. And why this common name? Because it is usually discovered in raw pork. Okay, usually found or discovered in raw pork and numerous pork-based products. Pork-based products, and therefore the name pigworm. Then it causes an illness known as trichinosis. Trichinosis. Okay, and this is characterized by muscle stiffness and soreness. Muscle stiffness and soreness. Okay, so this is the correct option. Let's see other options as well. Third option is Ascaris lumbricoides. So what is the common name of this endoparasite? It is known as roundworm. Okay, roundworm. And we know that roundworm also lays eggs. So it also shows oviparity. So this is not the correct answer again. And the last one is Ancylostoma duodenale. What is the common name? The common name is hookworm. Hookworm. And it also lays eggs and shows oviparity, not viviparity. So the only endoparasite out of the given options which shows viviparity is the second option. So option B will be the correct answer. Question number 2 is from the chapter Biodiversity and Conservation, and the question is cryopreservation of gametes of threatened species in viable and fertile condition can be referred to as option A, advanced ex situ conservation of biodiversity, option B, in situ conservation by sacred groves, option C, in situ cryoconservation of biodiversity, and option D, in situ conservation of biodiversity. Okay, so cryo means at very low temperature or very cold temperature. Okay, so this cryopreservation is a technique of preservation of gametes at very low temperature. Okay, so we have threatened species. Now these species are to be protected for future, right? So their gametes are taken. Gametes are taken. Then these gametes are preserved. And what is the method undertaken? The method is that these are preserved in liquid nitrogen at a temperature of -196 degrees Celsius. Okay, so we can see that this is a very low temperature. That means the environment will be very cold there. Okay, so due to this environment, it can be remained in viable and fertile condition for a long time. Okay, so let's see. We know that whenever any organism or their gametes are taken outside of their natural environment, then this is known as ex situ conservation. Okay, ex situ method of conservation. So it is outside the natural environment. Whereas when the organisms are protected in their natural environment, then that is known as in situ method of conservation. In situ, that means protection in natural environment. So here we know that the gametes will not be left in their natural environment. Instead, they will be carried to the laboratory. Okay. So this is done in laboratory condition, which is not their natural condition or natural environment. Therefore, it is an example of ex situ method of conservation. So in the given options, we can see that in three options B, C and D, there is in situ conservation mentioned. So these cannot be correct because this is a method of ex situ conservation. Okay. So option A will be the correct answer. And advanced because it involves technology. Okay. This is done in laboratory with the help of technology. So option A will be the correct answer. Advanced ex situ conservation of biodiversity. Question number 3 is from the chapter Biological Classification, and the question is which one of the following matches is correct. Okay, so the first one is alternaria. It is matched with sexual reproduction absent. Okay, so according to this, sexual reproduction is absent in alternaria and this is correct. Okay, and it belongs to the class Deuteromycetes. Yes, this is also correct. So the first match only is the correct one, but still we'll go through others. Second one is mucor, and it is given that the reproduction is by conjugation and it belongs to Ascomycetes. So this is not correct because it does not belong to Ascomycetes class. It belongs to Phycomycetes. Okay, Phycomycetes. So this is incorrect. Then the third one is Agaricus, parasitic fungus, and Basidiomycetes. So yes, it is Basidiomycetes, but it is not a parasitic fungus. It is saprophytic fungus. It is saprophytic in nature, not parasitic. So this is also incorrect. Then the last one is Phytophthora. It is aseptate mycelium. It has aseptate mycelium and it belongs to Basidiomycetes. So yes, it is aseptate. Its mycelium is aseptate, but it does not belong to Basidiomycetes. It also belongs to Phycomycetes. Okay. So the only correct one is the first one. Therefore, option A will be the correct answer. Question number 4 is from the chapter Mineral Nutrition, and the question is minerals known to be required in large amounts for plant growth include. So here we are talking about the macronutrients. Okay, we know that on the basis of the quantity required, the minerals are classified into two groups. Okay, or we can say the nutrients are classified into two groups. First one is macronutrients and the other one is micronutrients. Okay, macro and micronutrients. Macronutrients are those which are required in larger quantities. Okay, in large quantities by the plants, whereas micronutrients are required only in small quantities for the growth of the plants. Okay. Let's see the examples of macro and micronutrients. Macronutrients include carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, etc. Okay. Whereas the examples of micronutrients are iron, copper, boron, zinc, manganese, molybdenum, chlorine, etc. Okay. So here let's see. In the first option, we have calcium, magnesium, manganese and copper. So yes, calcium and magnesium are macronutrients, but manganese and copper are not macronutrients. Okay, these are micro. So this is not correct answer. Then the second option is potassium, phosphorus, selenium and boron. Again, we have seen boron is micronutrients. Okay, so this is also not correct. Then the third one is magnesium, sulfur, iron and zinc. Again, iron, zinc are micronutrients. And the last one is phosphorus, potassium, sulfur and calcium. Yes, all these four are macronutrients. Okay, none is micro. So option D will be the correct answer. Question number 5 is from the chapter Strategies for Enhancement in Food Production, and the question is which of the following enhances or induces fusion of protoplasts? Options are polyethylene glycol and sodium nitrate, indole 3 acetic acid and kinetin, indole 3 acetic acid and gibberellins, and the last one is sodium chloride and potassium chloride. Okay. So we know that the fusion of the protoplast is one of the most important tools in plant breeding. Okay, it is involved in the plant breeding. So let's write it down here. It is the most important tool in plant breeding because it has the potential to create the hybrids. Okay, so it can create hybrids. What are hybrids? Hybrids are the hybrids of cytoplasm. So suppose these are the cytoplasms of two cells. These are cytoplasm. So if the hybrid is created, this is the hybrid. So hybrid of the cytoplasm is known as hybrid. Okay. So this method, the fusion of protoplasm, is able to create the hybrids, okay, to obtain the plants of the desired qualities, right? Now, here the correct answer will be option A, that is polyethylene glycol and sodium nitrate. Let's see the reason why. So in sodium nitrate, we have the sodium ion. Okay, so this sodium ion helps in the fusion indirectly, okay, not directly. So what it does, it induces the localized realignment of lipoprotein. Okay, alignment of lipoprotein or lipoprotein in the membrane. So basically it is helping in the realignment of the lipoprotein, and then is this lipoprotein, it helps in the fusion of the protoplasm. Okay, so it allows the fusion of the protoplasm. So this is how sodium ion is involved indirectly in this method. Okay, then what is the role of polyethylene glycol? So polyethylene glycol, that is written as PEG in short, it induces tight adhesion. It induces tight adhesion of the protoplasts owing to electrostatic forces. Electrostatic forces. That means it helps in the accumulation of the protoplast. Okay. Therefore, the correct answer will be option number A. Question number 6 is from the chapter Human Reproduction, and the question is, which of these is not an important component of initiation of parturition in humans? Okay. So what is parturition? It is the phenomena of giving birth. So basically it is the process of delivery of the child from womb to the outside, right? Now, the most important hormone that is involved in parturition or the initiation of the parturition is the oxytocin hormone. Okay. Why? Because oxytocin increases the contraction of the uterine muscles. Okay. It increases the contraction of the uterine muscles. Okay. Because without contraction, parturition is not possible. Now, in response to the release of oxytocin, prostaglandins are released. Okay, so this one, synthesis of prostaglandins takes place in response to the oxytocin release. Okay, then increase in estrogen and progesterone ratio is also related to the initiation of parturition. Okay, it also indicates the initiation of parturition. But the only hormone that is not involved during parturition is prolactin. Okay, it is required after parturition. After parturition. Why? Because the main function of the prolactin hormone is to secrete milk from the mammary gland. Okay, milk from mammary gland. but it is not required during the initial phase of the parturition. Okay, it is required after parturition once the baby is outside. Okay, so this option C will be the correct answer because it is not a component of initiation of parturition in humans. Question number 7 is from the chapter Plant Kingdom, and the question is, in which of the following gametophyte is not independent free living? Okay, so the options are Mercantia, Pteris, Pinus and Funaria. Now we know that Mercantia is a member of the group liverworts. Okay, liverworts. That means it is a bryophyte. Bryophyte. Similarly, Funaria belong to which group? It belongs to the group Moss, and it is also a bryophyte. We know that in bryophytes, the gametophyte is independent. Okay, gametophyte is the main plant body in case of bryophytes. So the gametophyte is independent in both the cases. Okay, also sporophyte depends on the gametophyte in case of bryophytes. Okay, that you know. Then option B, that is Pteris, it belongs to Pteridophyta. Pterido, so this is a pteridophyte. In pteridophytes, the gametophytes and sporophytes both are not dependent on each other. Okay, so gametophyte and sporophyte both are independent. Then if we talk about the Pinus, it belongs to gymnosperms. Gymnosperms. Now in gymnosperms, the main plant body is sporophyte. Okay, sporophyte is the main plant body. Main plant body. In this case, gametophyte is present on the plant body, that is sporophyte, and this is not independent. Okay, so the gametophyte is not independent in this case. Therefore, the correct answer will be option C, Pinus. Okay, in this case, the gametophyte is not independent free living. Question number 8 is from the chapter Reproductive Health, and the question is, which of the following is not a sexually transmitted disease? So let's see. The first one is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, that is AIDS. So it is a sexually transmitted disease and it is caused by the human immunodeficiency virus, that is HIV. Okay, and it can be transmitted through the body fluids. Transmitted through body fluids. So although it can be transmitted through other methods, but the most common mode of transmission is the sexual intercourse. Therefore, it is an example of sexually transmitted disease. Then the second option is trichomoniasis. It is also a sexually transmitted disease and it is caused by trichomonas vaginalis, and it is a protozoan parasite. Okay, it is unicellular. It is protozoan parasite. Next one is encephalitis. Encephalitis is not a sexually transmitted disease. Okay, it is not a sexually transmitted disease. If we talk about the encephalitis, it is an infection. It is an infection, or we can say it is an infectious inflammatory brain disease. Inflammatory brain disease. Okay, it can be caused due to bacteria, virus, or even an autoimmune disorder. Okay, or autoimmune disorder or disease. The most common vectors for encephalitis include the mosquitoes. Okay. The last option is syphilis. So this is also an example of sexually transmitted disease and it is a bacterial disease. Okay. So it is caused by treponema Treponema pallidum bacterium. Okay. So the only incorrect one, that means the option that is not a sexually transmitted disease, is the third one, encephalitis. Therefore, option C will be the correct answer. Question number 9 is from the chapter Morphology of Flowering Plants, and the question is, leaves become modified into spines in, options are pea, onion, silk cotton and opuntia. Okay, so it's very simple. The correct answer is option D, that is opuntia. What is opuntia? It is a type of cactus and the common name is prickly pear cactus. Okay, prickly pear cactus. And we know that cactus are found in the warmer regions, okay, desert regions especially. So these are found in warmer regions where there is lack of water. Okay, so in order to conserve water, here the leaves are modified into spines. Okay, so suppose this is your opuntia, here the leaves are modified into spines. So the main function of the leaves, the modified leaves, is the reduction of loss of water. Okay, so to reduce loss of water through transpiration, through transpiration. Because more the surface area of the leaf, more will be the rate of evaporation. Okay, and in addition, it also protects the plant from grazing animals. Okay, so protection from grazing animals. Therefore, the correct answer will be option number D. Option number D, opuntia. Question number 10 is from the chapter Transport in Plants, and the question is, which one gives the most valid and recent explanation for stomatal movements? Options are potassium influx and efflux, starch hydrolysis, guard cell photosynthesis and transpiration. Okay, so stomatal movement means what? Opening and closing of stomata, right? Opening and closing of stomata. We know that when the guard cells are turgid, then what happens? The stomata opens. Okay, stomata opens. And when the guard cells are flaccid, when these are flaccid, the stomata closes. Okay, but the most recent and the valid explanation for this is potassium influx and efflux, that is option A. Let's see how. The influx of potassium increases the concentration of the sap in these guard cells. Okay, it increases the concentration of the sap in the guard cells. And when the concentration of sap increases, the guard cells become turgid. Okay, so it leads to endoosmosis. Guard cells become turgid. Guard cells become turgid and the stomata opens. Okay, stomata opens. So this is how the influx of potassium ion is explained. Similarly, if we talk about the efflux of potassium ion, the opposite will happen. That means the concentration of sap will decrease. Okay, so it will lead to decrease in the concentration of sap in the guard cells. Okay, in the guard cells. So exoosmosis will take place and guard cells will become flaccid. Okay, and when guard cells will become flaccid, then the stomata will close. Okay, stomata will close. So this is how the stomatal movement is explained by potassium influx and efflux. So option A will be the correct answer. Question number 11 is from the chapter Evolution, and the question is, which of the following had the smallest brain capacity? So let's check. The first one is Homo sapiens. Now Homo sapiens have the brain capacity of about 1400 cc. Okay. Then the next one is Homo neanderthalensis. they had the brain capacity of about 1450 cc, that means more than the Homo sapiens. Okay. Then the third one is Homo habilis. They had the brain capacity of about 700 to 800 cc. So this is less than the Homo sapiens. And then the last one is Homo erectus. So Homo erectus had the brain capacity of about 900 cc. So now it is clear that the smallest brain capacity is for Homo habilis. Therefore option C will be the correct answer. Question number 12 is from the chapter Environmental Issues, and the question is high value of BOD, that is biochemical oxygen demand, indicates that options are water is highly polluted, water is less polluted, then consumption of organic matter in the water is higher by the microbes, and then the last one is water is pure. So the correct answer is that it indicates water is highly polluted. Okay, so what is biochemical oxygen demand? It is the measurement of the amount of dissolved oxygen. Okay, amount of dissolved oxygen that is used by aerobic microbes. Okay, that is consumed by aerobic microbes while decomposing the organic matter in water. Okay, now if we have high BOD, it indicates that there is high level of microorganisms in the water. Okay, that means large amount of microorganisms are there. Amount of microorganisms, and which type of microorganisms? Aerobic microorganisms. Okay, then it shows that there is high content of organic matter, high content of organic matter or organic material in the water being broken down by the organisms. Okay, so the bottom line is that these things indicate that there is high organic pollution there. Okay, these are indicative of organic pollution. Therefore the most appropriate answer will be option A, water is highly polluted. Question number 13 is from the chapter Locomotion and Movement, and the question is sliding filament theory can be best explained as option A, actin and myosin filaments shorten and slide past each other. This is incorrect. Okay, because although they slide past each other but they do not get shortened. Okay, it seems as if they have shortened but it's not so. For example, let's see, suppose this is the myosin filament. Okay, the thick filament or the myosin filament. These two sides we have actin filaments. Okay, these are the actin filaments and this is myosin. This is Z line. This is the Z line. This side also we have Z line. Now during the muscle contraction, these actin filaments slide over the myosin filament. Okay, and how does it look? This is the myosin. Myosin remains at its original position. Okay, it does not change its position, but the actin filaments will come closer and they will overlap like this. Okay, that means the Z lines will move towards the myosin filaments. Okay, Z lines will come closer. Okay, but the length of the actin or myosin has not changed. They have just slided. Okay, actin filament has just slided over the myosin filament. So this one is incorrect. Then the second statement says actin and myosin filaments do not shorten but rather slide past each other. Yes, this is correct. Okay, it seems as if they have shortened but they have just slided past each other. Okay, then the third one is when myofilaments slide past each other, myosin filaments shorten, which is again incorrect because none of them get shortened, while actin filaments do not shorten. The last one is when myofilaments slide past each other, actin filaments shorten, while myosin filaments do not shorten. Again incorrect because none of them is shortened. They just slide past each other. It seems as if actin is shortened, but they have actually not shortened. Okay, so the correct answer will be option number B. Question number 14 is from the chapter Neural Control and Coordination, and the question is a gymnast is able to balance his body upside down even in the total darkness because of option A, vestibular apparatus, option B, tectorial membrane, option C, organ of Corti, and option D, cochlea. Okay, so the correct answer is option A, that is vestibular apparatus, right? As we know that it is present in the ear, and more specifically it is present in the inner ear. Okay, so it forms the labyrinth of the inner ear. Okay, it forms the labyrinth of the inner ear in association with the cochlea, right? In association with the cochlea. And the main function of the vestibular apparatus is that it balances and senses the orientation of the body. Okay, so it is responsible for balance and sense of orientation of the body in the air. Okay, now when the body is oriented in a different form in darkness or absence of light, then this apparatus will help to know about this orientation. Okay, therefore the correct answer will be option number A. Question number 15 is from the chapter body fluids and circulation, or it can be related to the genetics as well. Okay, the question is, a man with blood group A marries a woman with blood group B. What are all the possible blood groups of their offsprings? Okay, now they can be either homozygous or heterozygous. Okay, it is not mentioned in the question whether they are homozygous or heterozygous, so we'll consider that they are heterozygous, because in case of homozygous only one type of blood group will be possible, that is AB. Okay, and in heterozygous more than one type of blood groups are possible, so we are taking this possibility. Okay, now for the man it will be IA and small I if he is heterozygous. Similarly for female it will be IB and small I. Okay, now if we see the cross, then here we have IAIB, here we have IB small I, here we have IA small I, and here small I small I. Okay, so this one IAIB means the blood group is AB, IB small I means blood group is B, IA small I means blood group is A, and small I means the blood group is O. Okay, so these four types of blood groups are possible if they are heterozygous. Okay, therefore the correct answer will be option B. All four types are possible. Okay. Question number 16 is from the chapter Plant Growth and Development, and the question is, typical growth curve in plants is option A, linear, option B, stair steps shaped, option C, parabolic, and option D, sigmoid. So the correct answer is sigmoid, that is S shaped. Okay, so if we plot the graph of growth against time, then the curve will look something like S. Okay, it will look like this. So this lower portion, it is the lag phase. Okay, total 4 phases are there for this growth curve. This is the lag phase, which indicates the initial slow growth. Initial slow growth. Then this long portion is the log phase or the exponential phase. Okay, log phase or exponential phase. This indicates the period of rapid growth. Okay, so in a very small period of time, the growth is higher. Okay, then after that, this is the diminishing phase. This is the diminishing phase. Diminishing. So during this phase, what happens? The growth will be slow. Okay, the growth will be very slow, and this last point is the stationary phase. Stationary phase where the growth has finally stopped. Okay, so as you can see that this is an S-shaped curve or sigmoid curve, therefore option D will be the correct answer. Question number 17 is from the chapter Environmental Issues, and the question is, the UN Conference of Parties on Climate Change in the year 2011 was held in, options are South Africa, Peru, Qatar and Poland. So this is a direct question. The correct answer will be option A, that is South Africa. Okay, it was held in South Africa. Question number 18 is from the chapter Strategies for Enhancement in Food Production, and the question is, a technique of micropropagation is. Options are somatic embryogenesis, protoplast fusion, embryo rescue, and somatic hybridization. So what do we mean by micropropagation? It is the propagation of plants in which new plants are developed from a small part of the plant. Okay, new plants develop from a small part of the plant, that is also known as explant. Okay, or the development of new plant from a single cell also. Okay, and this is done in vitro, that means under the laboratory condition, and it is part of plant tissue culture. Okay, tissue culture. Now, the first option is somatic embryogenesis. This is the correct answer. Okay, it is one of the techniques of micropropagation. So we'll come to this later. First, let's discuss the incorrect answers. So the second one is protoplast fusion. What is protoplast fusion? It is the fusion of the protoplasms. Okay, so these two are the protoplasms of two different types of cells. Okay, these two are hybridized to get a somatic hybrid. Okay, this is a somatic hybrid. This is done with the help of polyethylene glycol, that is PEG. Okay, this is known as protoplast fusion, or this is also called somatic hybridization. Somatic hybridization. Okay. So option B and option D are more or less same things. So these two are eliminated because these are not ultimately giving the new plants. Okay, only this process is known as somatic hybridization, but finally we have to obtain new plants. Okay, so that will be done after somatic hybridization. Now option C is also incorrect, embryo rescue, because this is just the development of embryo under laboratory conditions, under laboratory conditions, and development of which type of embryo which are more likely to get aborted early. Okay, so development of weak or immature embryo. Okay, the motive is to save them from early abortion, save them from early abortion. That means we are rescuing them. Therefore, this is known as embryo rescue. So this has nothing to do with micropropagation. Okay. So the correct answer will be option A, that is somatic embryogenesis. Here, this somatic hybrid cell is taken. Okay. So single somatic cell is taken and it is developed into an embryo which ultimately give the plant. Okay, from this the plant develops. This process is known as somatic embryogenesis. Somatic embryogenesis. So although somatic hybridization is indirectly involved in somatic this micropropagation, but this is not the complete part of micropropagation. Therefore, it is not the correct answer. But the correct answer is somatic embryogenesis. Okay, option A. Question number 19 is from the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation, and the question is, how many pairs of contrasting characters in pea plants were studied by Mendel in his experiments? Options are 6, 8, 7 and 5. So this is very easy. We know that 7 pairs of contrasting characters were considered by Mendel in his experiment. Okay, and what were these characters? So these were pea shape, that is round or wrinkled, pea color, that is green or yellow, then pod shape, constricted or inflated, pod color, green or yellow, then flower color, that is purple or white. Okay, two types of flower color were taken, purple or white, as well as position of the flower. Okay, flower position, that is axial, that means on the axis, or terminal. And then the last and the most important was plant size, that is tall or dwarf. Okay, so these were the 7 pairs of contrasting characters. So option C will be the correct answer. Question number 20 is from the chapter Morphology of Flowering Plants, and the question is, this is the floral formula of, okay, so this floral formula is given here. Options are Sesbania, Petunia, Brassica and Allium. So the given floral formula is of the family Solanaceae. Solanaceae. Okay. Now, out of the given options, only Petunia belongs to the family Solanaceae. So this has the given floral formula. Okay. If we talk about other options, first one is Sesbania. It belongs to which family? Leguminosae family. Leguminosae. And its floral formula is bracteate, zygomorphic, bisexual, then 5 calyx, corolla 1 plus 2 plus 2, androecium 1 plus 9 and 1 superior ovary. Okay. Then the third one, Brassica, it belongs to the family Brassicaceae, as it is clear from the name. Brassicaceae. Its floral formula is, it is ebracteate, it is actinomorphic, it is bisexual, calyx is 2 plus 2, corolla is 4, androecium 2 plus 4 and 2 superior ovaries. Okay. Then the last one is allium. So allium belongs to which family? Liliaceae. Liliaceae. Its floral formula is bracteate, then actinomorphic, bisexual, perianth 3 plus 3, androecium 3 plus 3, and these two are fused. Perianth and androecium are fused. Then 3 superior ovaries are there. Okay. So here the given floral formula in the question is of the Petunia, that is Solanaceae family. Therefore option B will be the correct answer. Question number 21 is related to biotechnology, and the question is, the crops engineered for glyphosate are resistant or tolerant to. Options are bacteria, insects, herbicides and fungi. Okay. So what are glyphosate? It is a broad spectrum herbicide. Okay. It is a broad spectrum herbicide. So I think the answer is clear now. Since it is herbicide, therefore the crops that are engineered for glyphosate are resistant to the herbicides. Okay, so option C will be the correct answer. Question number 22 is from the chapter Digestion and Absorption, and the question is, which of the following statements is not correct? So we have to find out the incorrect statement. Let's see the statements. The first one is that goblet cells are present in the mucosa of intestine and secrete mucus. So this is a correct statement. Okay. Then let's come to the second one, oxyntic cells. These are present in the mucosa of stomach and they secrete hydrochloric acid. This is also absolutely correct. Then the third one is acini are present in the pancreas and secrete carboxypeptidase. This is also a correct statement. Okay. Then the last one is Brunner's glands are present in the submucosa of stomach and secrete pepsinogen. No, this is not correct. Okay. These are present in the submucosa of duodenum. Okay. Small intestine. Duodenum, not stomach. Okay. And they do not secrete pepsinogen. Instead, they secrete a mucus-rich alkaline fluid. So let's write it down here. The Brunner's gland secrete a mucus-rich alkaline fluid which acts as an antacid. Okay, it acts as antacid or antiacid. Okay, coating the duodenal epithelium. Therefore, the Brunner's gland protects the duodenum from the acidic chyme of the stomach. Okay, So protects from acidic chyme, acidic chyme of the stomach. So the correct answer will be option number D. This statement is not correct. Question number 23 is from the chapter Molecular Basis of Inheritance, and the question is, in sea urchin DNA, which is double-stranded, 17% of the bases were shown to be cytosine. The percentage of the other three bases expected to be present in this DNA are, okay, this is expected. So we know that the adenine pairs with thymine. Similarly, the guanine pairs with cytosine. Okay, that means the amount of adenine and thymine will be same and the amount of guanine and cytosine will be same. Okay, so here it is given that the amount of cytosine is 17%. That means the amount of guanine will also be 17%. So what will be the total amount of guanine and cytosine? These two will make 17 plus 17, that is 34%. Okay, so what will be the amount of adenine plus thymine? It will be 100 minus 34%, that is 66%. And we know that the amount of adenine and thymine will be same. That means each one will be 33%. Okay, so total they will be 66%. So the correct one, let's see. The first option says that the guanine is 17%. Yes, because cytosine is 17%. Then adenine is 16.5. This is incorrect. We have seen that adenine and thymine will be 33% each. Okay. Then the second one is guanine is 17%, adenine 33%, and thymine 33%. Yes, this is the correct answer. In others, guanine is 8.5, which is incorrect because if cytosine is 17, guanine must be 17. Okay, therefore C and D are incorrect. Only correct option is option number B. Question number 24 is from the chapter Biotechnology and its Applications, and the question is, in Bt cotton, the Bt toxin present in plant tissue as protoxin is converted into active toxin due to. Options are acidic pH of the insect gut, action of gut microorganism, then presence of conversion factors in insect gut, and the last one is alkaline pH of the insect gut. Okay, so what are Bt toxin? Bt toxins are used as the bioinsecticides. Okay, Bt toxin is used as bioinsecticides. So these are used to kill the insects that are likely to cause harm to the plants. Okay. Now, initially these Bt toxins remain in the inactive form, and that is known as protoxin. Okay. Because they require certain conditions, for example high pH, in order to get activated. Okay, so when an insect larva feeds on the plant, then these Bt toxin enter their body, and there they get activated in the gut of the insect larva. Okay, gut of insect larva, due to the high pH or due to alkaline pH. High pH means alkaline pH of the gut. Okay, of the gut or the insect gut. Okay, so they start destroying the lining of the gut. Okay, they destroy the lining of the gut or gut lining by punching holes in the lining. Okay, they start making holes in the lining of the gut, punching holes in the gut lining. Okay, so this way it ultimately leads to the death of the insect within a couple of days. Okay, so the correct answer will be option D, alkaline pH of the insect gut. Question number 25 is from the chapter Respiration in Plants, and the question is, cytochromes are found in. Options are outer wall of mitochondria, cristae of mitochondria, lysosomes, and matrix of mitochondria. So the correct answer is cristae of mitochondria. Okay, so these cytochromes are involved during the respiration, and specifically during the electron transport system. Okay, so in the electron transport system they are involved in the transfer of electrons. Okay, transfer of electrons, right? So option B will be the correct answer. Question number 26 is from the chapter Plant Kingdom, and the question is, read the following 5 statements A to E and select the option with all the correct statements. Okay, so let's read the statements. The first statement says that mosses and lichens are the first organisms to colonize a bare rock. This is absolutely correct statement. Okay. Then the second statement says Selaginella is a homosporous pteridophyte. So yes, it is a pteridophyte, but it's not homosporous. Instead, it is heterosporous. Okay, heterosporous. That means different types of spores are found. Okay, so this statement is incorrect. Then the third statement says coralloid roots in cycas have VAM. VAM means vesicular arbuscular mycorrhiza. So this is incorrect because coralloid roots in cycas do not have the vesicular arbuscular mycorrhiza. Instead, they contain the symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria. Okay, they contain symbiotic nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria, for example, Nostoc, Anabaena, okay, Nostoc, Anabaena, etc. So again, this is also incorrect statement. Then the fourth statement says main plant body in bryophytes is gametophytic, whereas in pteridophyte it is sporophytic. Yes. So gametophyte means the main plant body in bryophytes is gametophytic. That means haploid. Whereas in pteridophytes the main plant body is diploid. That is sporophytic. Okay, that is known as sporophytic. So this is a correct statement. Then the last statement says in gymnosperms, male and female gametophytes are present within sporangia located on the sporophyte. Yes, this is correct statement. Okay. So the second and third statements are incorrect. Others are correct. Okay. So statement A, D and E are correct. So which one will be the correct answer? Option number B. Okay. Question number 27 is from the chapter Body Fluids and Circulation, and the question is which one of the following is correct? Okay. So in the first one, serum equals to blood plus fibrinogen. This is incorrect because serum is that component of the blood from which the fibrinogen is removed. Okay. It does not contain the clotting factors. So this is incorrect. Then the second one, lymph equals to plasma plus RBC plus WBC. So lymph is a colorless liquid, right? This is a colorless fluid in the body and it does not contain the RBC. Okay, it is not a red colored, it is colorless, so it does not contain RBC. Therefore, again, this is incorrect. Then the third one is blood equals to plasma plus RBC plus WBC. This is correct. Okay. Other than that, there are platelets as well. But since platelets are not mentioned, so blood equals to plasma plus RBC plus WBC will be the correct answer. Okay, option number C. Question number 22 is from the chapter Molecular Basis of Inheritance, and the question is the movement of a gene from one linkage group to another is called. Options are duplication, translocation, crossing over and inversion. So the correct answer is option B, that is translocation. Okay. So it is basically the separation of the chromosome segment. Separation of the chromosome segment and it's joining to a non-homologous chromosome. Okay, joining to a non-homologous chromosome. So suppose we have two chromosomes before translocation. This is chromosome 1 and this is chromosome 2. Okay, just to differentiate, I'm taking different size and different thickness. Okay. Now after translocation, a segment of chromosome 1 will join to the chromosome 2 and a segment of chromosome 2 will join to the segment of chromosome the chromosome 1. Okay, for example, this is chromosome 1, but after translocation a segment of chromosome 2 will join here. Okay, and this is chromosome 2. Here the chromosome 1 segment will get attached. Okay, so this is the segment of chromosome 1 and this is the segment of chromosome 2. Okay, so this is known as translocation. So option B will be the correct answer. Question number 29 is from the chapter Biotechnology and its applications, and the question is, which body of the Government of India regulates GM research and safety of introducing GM organisms for public services? Okay, so options are Indian Council of Agricultural Research, Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, Research Committee on Genetic Manipulation, and Biosafety Committee. So this is a direct question. It is directly mentioned in the NCERT that it will be the Genetic Engineering Approval Committee that regulates the GM research and safety of introducing genetically modified organisms for public services. Okay, so option B will be the correct answer. Question number 30 is from the chapter Environmental Issues, and the question is, Rachel Carson's famous book Silent Spring is related to. Options are noise pollution, population explosion, ecosystem management, and pesticide pollution. Okay, so this book Silent Spring is based on the environmental science, and it explains how the indiscriminate use of pesticide has adverse effect on the environment. Okay, so the correct answer will be pesticide pollution. Okay, so it explains how the DDT enters the food chain and gets accumulated in the fatty tissues of animals including human beings. Okay, so it explains the accumulation of DDT in the fatty tissues of animals through the food chain. Okay, through the food chain, and how this accumulation of DDT is responsible for cancer and genetic damage. Cancer and genetic damage. So option D, pesticide pollution, will be the correct answer. Question number 31 is from the chapter Digestion and Absorption, and the question is, gastric juice of infants contain. Option A, nuclease, pepsinogen, and lipase. So nuclease is found in the pancreatic juice. Okay, it is found in the pancreatic juice, not the gastric juice. So this is an incorrect option. Then the second one is pepsinogen, lipase, and renin. Yes, all these are found in the gastric juice, specifically renin, because renin helps in the digestion of milk protein. Okay, digestion of milk protein. This enzyme is not found in the adults. It is found only in the infants. Okay. Then the third option is amylase, renin, and pepsinogen. So again, amylase is found in the pancreatic juice. Okay. Amylase is found in pancreatic juice, not the gastric juice. So this is also incorrect. And the last one is maltase, pepsinogen, and renin. So maltase is found in the intestinal juice. Intestinal juice, that is Succus entericus. Okay, this is not found in gastric juice. So the only correct option is option number B. Question number 32 is from the chapter Environmental Issues, and the question is, which of the following is not one of the prime health risks associated with greater UV radiation through the atmosphere due to depletion of stratospheric ozone? Okay, options are reduced immune system, damage to eyes, increased liver cancer, and increased skin cancer. Okay, so the correct answer will be option C, that is increased liver cancer. So it is generally not involved in the liver cancer. Okay, it is not one of the prime health risks that is associated with UV radiation, whereas other options that are directly related to the UV radiation. Okay, so option C will be the correct answer. Question number 33 is from the chapter Human Reproduction, and the question is, capacitation refers to changes in the option A, ovum before fertilization, ovum after fertilization, sperm after fertilization, and sperm before fertilization. Okay, so what is capacitation? It is basically a biochemical process that occurs in the female reproductive tract. Okay, in the female reproductive tract, and it is responsible for the fertilization. Okay, how? It basically enables the sperm to fertilize an ovum. Okay, it enables the sperm to fertilize an ovum. So the change is introduced in the sperm, not in the ovum. Okay, so the correct answer will be option D, sperm before fertilization, because if this happens before fertilization, then only sperm will be able to fertilize. Okay, so option D will be the correct answer. Question number 34 is from the chapter Biodiversity and Conservation, and the question is, most animals are tree dwellers in a. Options are thorn woodland, temperate deciduous forest, tropical rainforest and coniferous forest. So it is very simple. We know that mostly trees are found in which type of forest? Tropical rainforest. Okay. So the most animals that are tree dwellers are found in the tropical rainforest. So option C will be the correct answer. Question number 35 is from the chapter Biological Classification, and the question is, true nucleus is absent in. Options are Mucor, Vaucheria, Volvox and Anabina. So we know that true nucleus is absent in prokaryotic organisms, right? In the prokaryotes. Here in the options, Mucor belongs to fungi, Vaucheria and Volvox are algae, and we know that algae and fungi both are eukaryotic organisms, right? These are eukaryotes. Only Anabina, that is a bacteria, is prokaryotic organism. This is a prokaryote. Therefore, a true nucleus will be absent in Anabina, whereas in others it will be present. Okay, so option D will be the correct answer. Question number 36 is from the chapter Locomotion and Movement, and the question is, glenoid cavity articulates. Options are scapula with acromion, clavicle with scapula, humerus with scapula and clavicle with acromion. Okay, so what is glenoid cavity? It is a depression found below the acromion. Okay, it is a depression below the acromion, and it articulates the humerus with scapula. Okay, the third option. What is humerus? Humerus is the large bone. It is the large bone on the upper part of the arm. Okay, on the upper arm between the shoulder and the elbow. Okay, between the shoulder and elbow. Okay, so suppose this is your shoulder. Here we have a large bone. This is the humerus. Okay, this is the elbow point. Right. Now, this is your humerus and it is articulated with scapula with the help of glenoid cavity. So what is scapula? Scapula is a triangular flat bone that is found between the second and the seventh rib. Okay, second and seventh rib. It is found somewhere here like this. Okay, this is the triangular bone known as scapula. So these two are articulated with the help of glenoid cavity. Okay, this is present somewhere here in this area. So option C will be the correct answer. Question number 37 is from the chapter Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants, and the question is, transmission tissue is characteristic feature of. Option A, solid style, option B, dry stigma, option C, mitochondria and option D, chloroplast. Okay, so what is transmission tissue? Let's see. We know that this is your stigma, this is style and ovary. So in the flower, the reproductive part of the flower, this is the stigma, this is style, this is ovary. Okay, now this style may be hollow or it may be solid. Okay, it may be hollow or solid. In some flowers the style is solid, in others it is hollow. Okay, so in the solid type of style, this specialized tissue known as transmission tissue is found. Transmission tissue. Now in hollow style, the pollen grains can easily be transferred from outside to inside the ovary, but in solid it will be difficult. So for the fertilization to be enabled, this transmission tissue forms the pollen tube. Okay, pollen tube which connects the stigma of the flower with inside of the ovary. So helps in it helps in fertilization. Okay, in fertilization of male and female gamete. Male and female gamete. Therefore, option A, solid style, will be the correct answer. Question number 38 is from the chapter Cell, the Unit of Life, and the question is DNA is not present in. Options are ribosomes, nucleus, mitochondria and chloroplast. Okay, so we know that DNA are mostly found in the nucleus. Okay, because nucleus contains the genetic material, but other than nucleus, mitochondria and chloroplasts also have their own DNA. Okay, but ribosomes do not contain DNA. Therefore, option A will be the correct answer. Question number 39 is from the chapter Molecular Basis of Inheritance, and the question is gene regulation governing lactose operon of E. coli that involves the LAC-I gene product is. Option A, negative and inducible because repressor protein prevents transcription. Option B, negative and repressible because repressor protein prevents transcription. Option C, feedback inhibition because excess of beta-galactosidase can switch off transcription. And the last one is positive and inducible because it can be induced by lactose, right? So we know that a lac operon has many genes, out of which one is operator gene. Okay, operator gene. Now, when a repressor protein binds to the operator gene, repressor protein binds to the operator gene, then the RNA polymerase gets blocked. Okay, so there is no transcription. Okay, so no transcription as the operon is switched off. Okay, switched off. Now this is known as negative regulation, because this process is affecting the transcription process negatively, right? It is inhibiting the transcription, therefore it is known as negative regulation. Now second thing is that when an inducer is present, then this inducer binds to the repressor protein. The initial process that we saw was in the absence of inducer, and this one is in the presence of inducer. Okay, so when the inducer is present, then it binds to the repressor protein and it inactivates the repressor protein. Okay, so this repressor protein gets inactivated. Okay, it gets inactivated, then operon is switched on. That means now transcription will take place. Transcription proceeds. Okay, this type of regulation is known as inducible regulation. Okay, this is inducible due to the presence of an inducer. Okay, so we can see that this regulation is negative regulation as well as inducible. So these two are important terms here. So let's see. First option is negative and inducible. This is absolutely correct. Okay, so option A will be the correct answer. It's not repressible. It is known as inducible. Okay, and negative. Then the last option is incorrect because it's not positive, it's negative. Feedback inhibition is also incorrect. Only correct option is option number A. Question number 40 is from the chapter Excretory Products and Their Elimination, and the question is which of the following does not favor the formation of large quantities of dilute urine? Options are caffeine, renin, arterial natriuretic factor and alcohol. Okay, so the correct answer is option B, that is renin. So what is renin? It is an enzyme that is secreted by special cells in the kidneys known as juxtaglomerular cells. Okay, so secreted by juxtaglomerular cells, that is written as JG cells. Okay, now it activates the plasma protein angiotensinogen. angiotensinogen. This angiotensinogen gets activated and gets converted into angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1. Then this angiotensin 1 is further converted into angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2. Now angiotensin 2 causes increases the reabsorption of water and NaCl in the PCT. Okay, in the PCT. So due to the reabsorption of water, the urine gets concentrated. Okay, urine gets concentrated, not diluted. But the question is asked about the diluted. So renin is not one of them which favor the formation of dilute urine. So this will be the answer. Other three options, they help in diluting the urine. Okay, so the correct answer will be option number B. Question number 41 is from the chapter Plant Growth and Development, and the question is, what causes a green plant exposed to the light on only one side to bend towards the source of light as it grows? Option A, green plants seek light because they are aerophotrophic. Option B, light stimulates plant cells on the lighted side to grow faster. Option C, oxygen accumulates on the shaded side, stimulating greater cell elongation there. And option D, green plants need light to perform photosynthesis. Okay, so the correct answer is option number C. Okay, the reason is the accumulation of oxygen on the shaded side. So suppose this is the plant, this is the stem. Okay, now the light source is on the right side. Okay, here. Now what happens, the oxygen hormone will get accumulated on the left side, this side. Okay, so due to this side of the plant will get elongated. Okay, only the left side will get elongated, which will cause bending like this. Okay, towards the light source. So this is the reason why they bend towards the source of light. So oxygen accumulates on the shaded side, stimulating greater cell elongation there. Okay, so option C will be the correct answer. Question number 42 is from the chapter Cell, the Unit of Life, and the question is, nuclear envelope is a derivative of. Options are membrane of Golgi complex, microtubules, rough endoplasmic reticulum, and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So the nuclear envelope is produced by the rough endoplasmic reticulum in the telophase stage of the cell cycle. Okay, telophase stage. Therefore, the correct answer will be option C, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Question number 43 is from the chapter Cell Cycle and Cell Division, and the question is, select the correct option. So the first one is, synapsis aligns homologous chromosomes. So synapsis takes place during which stage? During the zygotene of meiosis. Okay, zygotene of prophase 1 of meiosis. So the correct match for A will be number 2. Then the second one is synthesis of RNA and protein. This happens during the G2 phase. Okay, during the G2 phase, during which the cell continues to grow. Okay, at the same time the synthesis of RNA and protein also takes place. So the correct match for B will be number 3. Then the third one is action of enzyme recombinase. So this enzyme recombinase is required for the recombination of genes between the homologous chromosomes during crossing over. Okay, and we know that crossing over takes place during the Pachytene stage. Okay, so the correct match for C will be number 5, Pachytene. Then the last one is centromeres do not separate, but chromatids move towards the opposite poles. So this takes place during the anaphase 1. Anaphase 1, that means the correct match for D will be number 4. So A2, B3, C5 and D4, that means option A will be the correct answer. Question number 44 is from the chapter Morphology of Flowering Plants, and the question is, keel is the characteristic feature of flower of. Options are indigofera, aloe, tomato and tulip. So we know that keel is the characteristic feature of which family? Leguminosae family. Okay, Leguminosae. That is also known as Fabaceae. And Indigofera belongs to Leguminosae family. Therefore, option A will be the correct answer. Question number 45 is from the chapter Morphology of Flowering Plants, and the question is perigynous flowers are found in. Options are cucumber, China rose, rose and guava. So what are perigynous flowers? We know that there are mainly three types of flowers: hypogynous, then perigynous and epigynous. Okay. In case of hypogynous, the ovary is superior. Okay. Superior ovary. That means ovary is located on the upper part as compared to the other parts of the flower. Okay. In case of epigynous, the ovary is inferior. Inferior ovary. That means other parts of the flowers are located above the ovary. Okay. And in case of perigynous, it is half inferior. Half inferior. That means the ovary is located at center with other parts at the same level. Okay, so this is neither superior nor inferior. So ovary is at the center with other parts of the flowers, other parts at the same level. Now here the cucumber and guava, these two have inferior ovary. That means these have epigynous flowers. Okay, whereas China rose has superior ovary, so it has hypogynous flower. But option C, that is rose, has perigynous flowers. Therefore, option C will be the correct answer. Question number 46 is from the chapter Chemical Coordination and Integration, and the question is a chemical signal that has both endocrine and neural roles is. Options are calcitonin, epinephrine, cortisol and melatonin. So the correct answer is option B, that is epinephrine. Okay, we know that epinephrine is secreted by the adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla. Now it has both endocrine and neural roles. That means it acts as a hormone as well as neurotransmitter. Okay, hormone and neurotransmitter. And which type of hormone? Emergency hormone. Okay, emergency hormone. Why? Because it prepares the body for emergency response, that is known as fight or flight response. Okay, so it prepares the body for fight or flight response. Fight or flight response by intensifying the effect of sympathetic stimulation. Okay, so the correct answer will be option number B, epinephrine. Question number 47 is from the chapter Biodiversity and Conservation, and the question is in which of the following both pairs have correct combination. So in the first one, in situ conservation is matched with cryopreservation and ex situ conservation is matched with wildlife sanctuary. Okay, so what happens in situ conservation? In situ conservation, the conservation or the preservation is done within the natural habitat of the organism. Okay, within the natural habitat. It is not taken anywhere outside the habitat. Okay, then in case of ex situ conservation, the organism or any material is taken outside its natural habitat, okay, for the conservation or the preservation. Okay, so outside the natural habitat. So let's see, in the first one, cryopreservation is mentioned. We know that cryopreservation, in this, a biological material is preserved at a very low temperature. At a very low temperature. So such temperature is not available in the natural habitat. So this is done under laboratory condition. Okay. So this is not an example of in situ conservation. So this is an incorrect match. Okay. This is an incorrect match. Also, ex situ conservation is matched with wildlife sanctuary. which is also incorrect because wildlife sanctuary is an example of in situ conservation. Okay, now let's come to the second option. Here in situ conservation is matched with seed bank. Again, seed bank is an example of ex situ conservation because the seeds are preserved in the laboratory condition here. Okay, then ex situ is matched with national park. This is also incorrect because national park is an example of in situ conservation. In the third option, in situ conservation is matched with tissue culture. Again, this is a laboratory process. So it is an example of ex situ conservation, not in situ conservation. And ex situ is matched with sacred groves, which is incorrect because sacred groves are also example of in situ conservation. Then in the last option, in situ conservation is matched with national park. This is correct because we have seen that national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, these are in situ conservation. And ex situ conservation is matched with botanical garden. So yes, botanical garden and zoological gardens, these are examples of ex situ conservation. So option D will be the correct answer. Question number 48 is from the chapter Human Health and Disease, and the question is HIV that causes AIDS first starts destroying. Options are leukocytes, helper T lymphocytes, thrombocytes and B lymphocytes. Okay, so we know that HIV, that is human immunodeficiency virus, is a single stranded RNA. Okay, it is a single stranded RNA with a protein coat. Okay, now as this single stranded RNA enters the host cell, this is the host cell. So here this is converted into the double stranded DNA. Okay, into double stranded DNA by the process known as reverse transcription. Reverse transcription, and the enzyme responsible is reverse transcriptase. So this is done by reverse transcriptase enzyme. Okay. Now, as it gets incorporated into the host cells, it gets incorporated into the host cell. Then what happens? It starts replicating. Okay. So it starts replicating. Now, as it replicates, it starts destroying the helper T lymphocytes. It starts destroying the helper T lymphocytes. And we know that these helper T lymphocytes have an important role to play in our immunity. Okay, for our immune system, they are very helpful. So since these HIV virus attack these helper T lymphocytes, this way they weaken our immune system. Okay, therefore the correct answer will be option B, helper T lymphocytes. Question number 49 is from the chapter Reproductive Health, and the question is hysterectomy is a surgical removal of. So the first option is prostate gland, and the surgical removal of prostate gland is known as prostatectomy. Okay, prostatectomy. Then the second option is vas deferens. The surgical removal of vas deferens is known as vasectomy. Vasectomy. Then the third option is mammary glands. So the removal of mammary glands by surgery is known as mastectomy. Okay, mastectomy. And the last one is uterus. So its surgical removal is known as hysterectomy. Hysterectomy. Therefore, the correct answer is option D, uterus. Question number 50 is from the chapter Excretory Products and Their Elimination, and the question is removal of proximal convoluted tubule, that is PCT, from the nephron will result in. Options are more concentrated urine, no change in quality and quantity of urine, no urine formation, and more diluted urine. Okay, so in one of the previous questions we have seen how proximal convoluted tubule, that is PCT, is responsible for the reabsorption of water. Okay, so about 65% reabsorption takes place in the PCT. Okay, reabsorption. Now, when reabsorption is done, then the urine becomes concentrated. Okay, it becomes concentrated because water is reabsorbed from it. Now, if this PCT is removed, if it will be removed, then what will happen? The concentrated urine will not be produced because there will be no reabsorption. Okay, so no reabsorption will take place. So no concentrated urine, that means which type of urine? Dilute urine will be produced. Okay, so which option will be the correct one? Option number D, more diluted urine will be produced. Okay, so option D is the correct answer. Question number 51 is from the chapter Anatomy of Flowering Plants, and the question is, a major characteristics of the monocot root is the presence of option A, scattered vascular bundles, option B, vasculature without cambium, option C, cambium sandwiched between phloem and xylem along the radius, and option D, open vascular bundles. Okay, so we know that there are few things that are common between monocot and dicot roots, and actually most of the things are common. So let's see what are common between monocot and dicot. Monocot and dicot. So the epidermis, then cortex, endodermis, pericycle, then vascular bundles and pith. So these things are present in monocot roots as well as dicot roots. But what is the difference? The difference is that in case of dicot roots, the number of xylem bundles is less. Okay, so dicot roots have fewer xylem bundles as compared to the monocot roots. Okay, if we talk about the monocot roots, here there are more than 6 xylem bundles. More than 6 xylem bundles. And this condition is known as polyarch. That means there are many xylem bundles. Now, one more important characteristic of the monocot roots is that they do not undergo secondary growth. Okay, they do not, this is very important, do not undergo secondary growth because the primary tissues do not differentiate. Okay, now we know that the cambium, vascular cambium, is formed after secondary growth, right? It is formed after secondary growth. That means after the primary tissues undergo differentiation, then vascular cambium is formed. But since monocot roots do not undergo secondary growth, therefore they lack the vascular cambium. So we have seen that although they have, the monocot roots have more xylem bundles, that means more number of vasculatures are present, but these vasculatures lack the cambium. Okay, these vasculatures are without cambium. Therefore, option B will be the correct answer. Vasculature without cambium. Question number 52 is from the chapter Animal Kingdom, and the question is, which of the following characteristics is mainly responsible for diversification of insects on land? Options are bilateral symmetry, exoskeleton, eyes and segmentation. So the correct answer is exoskeleton. Okay, this is the most important adaptation of insects. We know that the exoskeleton is chitinous. That means this is made up of chitin. Now earlier the insects used to be aquatic organisms, isn't it? Aquatic organisms, but later on they evolved and adapted to live on land. Okay, and it resulted in the diversification of the insects. Diversification of insects on land. Now, this chitinous exoskeleton, the chitin present in the exoskeleton helps to retain moisture in their skin. Okay, so it keeps or maintains the moisture of the skin. Moisture of the skin. Okay, because in aquatic environment their skin was already moist due to the presence of water, but on land there was lack of water, so there the importance of chitin increased. Okay, because this keeps their skin moist even on the land. Okay, so this way this helped in the diversification of insects. So option B will be the correct answer. Question number 53 is from the chapter Human Reproduction, and the question is, which of the following cells during gametogenesis is normally diploid? Options are spermatogonia, spermatid, secondary polar body and primary polar body. So the correct answer is option A, that is spermatogonia. Okay, spermatogonia is a diploid germ cell of seminiferous tubules. Okay, it is found in the seminiferous tubules. Okay, now these spermatogonia, as we know that this is a diploid, that means 2n. Now this undergoes mitosis. Okay, it undergoes mitosis to form the primary spermatocytes. Primary spermatocytes. Then these primary spermatocytes undergo meiotic division. Okay, that is meiosis to form the haploid sperms. These are haploid. Okay, so option A will be the correct answer. Question number 54 is from the chapter Cell, the Unit of Life, and the question is, the structures that are formed by stacking of organized flattened membranous sacs in the chloroplasts are, options are grana, stroma lamellae, stroma and cristae. Okay, so suppose this is your chloroplast. Here the liquid that is present is known as stroma. Okay, it is known as stroma. Now here there are some flattened membranous sacs which are known as thylakoid. Okay, these flattened membranous sacs are known as thylakoids. Now when these thylakoids are stacked like this, okay, just like the piles of coins, then this stack is known as grana. Okay, so this organization is known as grana. So option A will be the correct answer. Stroma lamellae is the one that connects two grana. Okay, the thylakoids of two different granas. So option A will be the correct answer. Question number 55 is again from the chapter Cell, the Unit of Life, and the question is, the chromosomes in which centromere is situated close to one end are, options are acrocentric, telocentric, submetacentric and metacentric. So let's see, we know that there are mainly four types of chromosomes. First one is metacentric. Here the centromere is located just in the middle of the chromosome. Okay, here this is metacentric. In case of submetacentric, it is near the middle but not exactly in the middle, somewhere here. Okay, so this is submetacentric. Submetacentric. Then if the centromere is near one end of the chromosome at this point, then this is known as acrocentric. And when it is at the terminal end, okay, like this is known as telocentric. So here the question says that the chromosome in which the centromere is situated close to one end. Close to one end, that means it is talking about the acrocentric. Okay, so option A will be the correct answer. Question number 56 is from the chapter Anatomy of Flowering Plants, and the question is, in a ring girdled plant, option A, the root dies first, option B, the shoot and root die together, option C, neither root and nor shoot will die, and option D, the shoot dies first. Okay, so what is ring girdling? Let's write it down here, ring girdling. Okay, it is basically a phenomena that occurs when few things are removed from the plant. Okay, and these things are cork cambium, and phloem. So we know that phloem is very important for the transportation of food, right? So these things are stripped away. These things are stripped away. As a result, what happens? The nutrition and water movement will stop. Nutrition and water movement in the plant stops. So the root will die first. Okay, root dies first due to this. Why? Because it is unable to obtain the enough sugar to survive. Okay, it is unable to obtain enough sugar to survive, because we know that the plant gets the nutrients from the roots only. Okay, once the roots receive the nutrition, then it transports them to the other parts of the plant, right? So first the root will not receive the nutrition, therefore it will die first. Okay, so option A will be the correct answer. Question number 57 is from the chapter Ecosystem, and the question is vertical distribution of different species occupying different levels in a biotic community is known as. Options are stratification, zonation, pyramid and divergence. So it is very simple. The correct answer is stratification. Okay, this vertical distribution of different species at different levels is known as stratification. For example, if we talk about the forest ecosystem, then which type of plants occupy the topmost layer? Trees. Okay, trees occupy the top vertical strata. Top vertical strata. Then shrubs and herbs. Shrubs and herbs occupy the second vertical strata, and then the grasses occupy the lowermost. Okay, grasses occupy the lowermost or the bottom layer or bottom strata. Okay, so this is how vertical distribution is done. So option A is correct answer. Question number 58 is from the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation, and the question is multiple alleles are present. Option A at different loci on the same chromosome, option B at the same locus of the chromosome, option C on sister chromatids, non-sister chromatids, and option D on different chromosomes. Okay, so the correct answer will be option B, that is at the same locus of the chromosome. Okay, so in case of multiple alleles, more than two alleles can occupy the same locus of the chromosome. Okay, an example of the multiple alleles is ABO blood grouping. Okay, ABO blood grouping in humans is an example of multiple alleles. So option B is the correct answer. Question number 59 is from the chapter Ecosystem, and the question is the mass of living material at a trophic level at a particular time is called. Options are standing state, net primary productivity, standing crop, and gross primary productivity. So the correct answer is option C, that is standing crop. Okay, so when we are talking about the mass of living material which contains the organic compounds, then we use the term standing crop. Okay, but when we are talking about the inorganic nutrients, amount of inorganic nutrients, in that case we use the term standing state. So don't confuse between the two. Okay, what is gross primary productivity? It is the amount of organic matter matter that is produced during the process of photosynthesis. Okay, produced during photosynthesis. And net primary productivity is gross primary productivity minus the respiration, that means respiratory losses and other losses. So what is left after some use of these organic matter, that is the net primary productivity. Okay, so according to this question, our correct answer is option number C, standing crop. Question number 60 is from the chapter Animal Kingdom, and the question is which of the following animals is not viviparous? Options are elephant, platypus, whale, and flying fox or bat. Okay, so we know that one of the characteristic feature of mammals is that they are viviparous. Okay, that means they give birth to young ones. They give birth to young ones and they do not lay eggs. Okay, so this is the characteristic feature of mammals along with the presence of mammary gland. Right, now here in the options, all the animals that are mentioned are mammals, and that means that they are viviparous in nature except platypus. Okay, this is an exceptional mammal that does not give birth to young ones. Instead, it lays eggs. Okay, it lays eggs. So it is an egg laying mammal. Therefore, option B will be the correct answer. Question number 61 is from the chapter Ecosystem, and the question is, in an ecosystem, the rate of production of organic matter during photosynthesis is termed as. Options are gross primary productivity, secondary productivity, net productivity, and net primary productivity. So in question number 59, we discussed this, right, that the rate of production of organic matter during photosynthesis is known as gross primary productivity, that is GPP. Okay, whereas net primary productivity is equal to gross primary productivity minus the respiratory and other losses. Okay, so option A will be the correct answer. Question number 62 is from the chapter Body Fluids and Circulation, and the question is, erythropoiesis starts in. Options are liver, spleen, red bone marrow, and kidney. So what is erythropoiesis? See, it is made up from Greek words erythro and poiesis. So erythro means red and poiesis means to make. Okay, that means erythropoiesis is the production of red blood cells. Okay, so it is the process of production of red blood cells, RBCs. Okay, and we know that the production of RBCs starts in the red bone marrow. Therefore, option C will be the correct answer. Question number 63 is from the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation, and the question is, which is the most common mechanism of genetic variation in the population of sexually reproducing organisms? Options are chromosomal aberrations, genetic drift, recombination, and transduction. So the correct answer will be option C, that is recombination. Okay, so what is recombination? It is the process during which two homologous chromosomes cross and exchange the genetic materials. Okay, chromosomes cross across and exchange the genetic material during the meiosis. Okay, during meiosis. So recombination takes place during meiosis, not mitosis, in the sexual organisms. Now during this crossing, what happens? The DNA fragments are broken and recombined. Okay, these are broken and recombined. This is known as recombination. So this recombination results in the genetic variation. It results in genetic variation. Therefore, the correct answer will be option C, recombination. Question number 64 is from the chapter Body Fluids and Circulation, and the question is, blood pressure in the mammalian aorta is maximum during. Options are diastole of the right ventricle, systole of the left ventricle, diastole of the right atrium, systole of the left atrium. Okay, so we know that aorta is the main artery of human body that originates from the left ventricle. Okay, so it originates from the left ventricle. Now when there will be contraction in the left ventricle, when there will be contraction of left ventricle, then the volume will decrease. Okay, volume of the left ventricle will decrease, whereas the pressure will increase. This is what happens during a contraction. Okay, now this increased pressure will force the blood into the aorta. Okay, so blood is forced into the aorta. That means the blood pressure in the aorta will increase. Okay, it will cause the increase in blood pressure. So this is what is asked in the question, right? Blood pressure in the mammalian aorta is maximum during this phase only. Okay, and this is due to the contraction of the left ventricle, and we know that contraction is known as systole. Okay, and relaxation is known as diastole. So here it is due to the contraction of the left ventricle, that means systole of the left ventricle. So option B will be the correct answer. Question number 65 is from the chapter Breathing and Exchange of Gases, and the question is, when you hold your breath, which of the following gas changed in blood would first lead to the urge to breathe? Options are rising carbon dioxide concentration, falling carbon dioxide concentration, rising carbon dioxide and falling oxygen concentration, and falling oxygen concentration. Okay, so the correct answer is option A, that is rising carbon dioxide concentration. Okay, this is alone responsible for the urge to breathe when we hold the breath. We know that during the respiration, what happens? The oxygen is inhaled and the carbon dioxide is exhaled, right? Now, when we hold the breath, so on holding the breath, what happens? The amount of carbon dioxide increases, okay, because carbon dioxide starts accumulating in the body. Okay, now that is in the blood. So when the amount of carbon dioxide increases, the blood will become acidic. Okay, it makes the blood acidic. That means there will be change in pH. Okay, now this change in pH will trigger the chemosensitive receptors. Okay, so chemosensitive receptors are triggered. Now these chemosensitive receptors of the brain will activate the respiratory center. Okay, so it will lead to the activation of the respiratory center in the brain. Respiratory center of the brain. And what will this respiratory center of the brain do? It will increase the urge to breathe. Okay, so what is the main cause? The main cause is the rise in carbon dioxide concentration. Okay, therefore option A will be the correct answer. Question number 66 is from the chapter Anatomy of Flowering Plants, and the question is, vascular bundles in monocotyledons are considered closed because option A, cambium is absent, option B, there are no vessels with perforations, option C, xylem is surrounded all around by phloem, and option D, a bundle sheath surrounds each bundle. Okay, so we have discussed about the monocots in one of the previous questions, and we had seen there that in case of monocot roots, cambium is absent, right? And due to the absence of cambium, no secondary growth is possible. Okay, so no secondary growth will take place. What does it mean? It means that the primary tissues will not be able to differentiate into the secondary tissues, that is secondary xylem and phloem. Okay, so since no secondary growth is possible, therefore this is known as a closed system. Okay, closed vascular bundles. That means the vascular bundles will not differentiate to give the secondary vascular bundles, right? Therefore option A will be the correct answer. Question number 67 is from the chapter Plant Kingdom, and the question is, male gametes are flagellated in. Options are Anabaena, Ectocarpus, Spirogyra and Polysiphonia. So the correct answer is option B, that is Ectocarpus, which is an example of brown algae. Okay, brown algae. Now in brown algae, all types of reproduction takes place, that is vegetative, asexual reproduction, as well as sexual reproduction. Okay, and they have biflagellated zoospores. If we talk about other options, the first one, that is Anabaena, belongs to the group Cyanobacteria, isn't it? Cyanobacteria, and it lacks the flagellated zoospores. Lacks flagellated zoospores. Then the third one, Spirogyra, is an example of green algae. Green algae, and it produces non-flagellated gametes. Non-flagellated gametes. And the last one, that is Polysiphonia, is a member of red algae. It does not have any flagellated cells. Does not have any flagellated cells. Okay. So the correct answer according to this question is option B, Ectocarpus. Question number 68 is from the chapter Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants, and the question is, which of the following may require pollinators but is genetically similar to autogamy? Options are xenogamy, apogamy, cleistogamy and getonogamy. So what is autogamy? It is a type of pollination in which the fertilization takes place within the same flower. Okay, fertilization within same flower. Suppose this is the plant. Here there are many flowers. Let's say this is flower A and this is flower B. Now, if the fertilization takes place within the flower A, that means between the that means when the pollen from the anther of this flower A will be released on the stigma of the same flower, that means autogamy will take place. Okay, autogamy will take place. But when the pollen of flower A will be released on the stigma of flower B, then getonogamy will take place. Getonogamy. That means in case of getonogamy, the fertilization will take place. Fertilization takes place between different flowers of same plant. Okay, flowers of same plant. So since the plant is same, so the genetic makeup will also be same. Okay, so these will be genetically similar to those of autogamy. Okay, so option D will be the correct answer. Now if the pollination will take place between the flowers of different plants, in that case what type of pollination will take place? Xenogamy. But since in that case the plants will be different, so these will be genetically different. Okay, but here we have to find the type of pollination in which they will be genetically similar. So the correct answer will be option number D, getonogamy. Question number 69 is from the chapter Reproduction in Organisms, and the question is, in ginger, vegetative propagation occurs through. Options are offsets, bulbils, runners and rhizome. So the correct answer will be option D, that is rhizome. What is rhizome? It is a modified stem. Okay, modified stem, and it is usually found underground. Usually found underground. Okay, so rhizome is used in the vegetative propagation of ginger. Now if we talk about other options, the first one is offset. So offsets are the vegetative propagules in water hyacinth. Water hyacinth. Then bulbils are the vegetative propagules in agave, and runners are found in grasses such as for example spider grass or peppermint. Okay, and other such plants. So all these are examples of vegetative propagules only. Okay, but it was asked about the ginger, so the correct answer will be rhizome, option number D. Question number 70 is from the chapter Cell, and the question is, which one of the following is not an inclusion body found in prokaryotes? Options are cyanophycean granule, glycogen granule, polysome and phosphate granules. Okay, so the correct answer will be option C, that is polysome, right? What are inclusion bodies? Inclusion bodies are the aggregates of specific chemical compounds, specific chemical compounds, chemical compounds, and they often serve as the reservoir of energy. Okay, reservoir of energy or carbon Okay, so these are known as inclusion body. Now, out of the given options, cyanophycean granule, glycogen granule, and phosphate granule. All these granules are example of inclusion bodies, but polysome is not an example of the inclusion body. So, what are polysomes? These are the cluster of ribosomes, which are bound to the mRNA molecule during the translation process. Okay, during the translation process that is found in the eukaryotes. Okay, in the eukaryotes. Therefore, option C will be the correct answer. Question number 71 is from the chapter Cell Cycle and Cell Division, and the question is, a somatic cell that has just completed the S phase of its cell cycle as compared to gamete of the same species has option A, same number of chromosomes but twice the amount of DNA, option B, twice the number of chromosomes and 4 times the amount of DNA, option C, 4 times the number of chromosomes and twice the amount of DNA, and the last option is twice the number of chromosomes and twice the amount of DNA. So basically we have to compare the number of chromosomes and amount of DNA between a gametic cell, that is a gamete, and a somatic cell, right? Now we know that gametes have only one set of chromosomes, that means these are haploid, whereas somatic cells have two set of chromosomes, that means somatic cells are diploid, right? Now what happens at the S phase? S phase means synthesis phase, right? Synthesis phase. So during the S phase the amount of DNA is doubled in a gamete. Okay, so in a gamete during the S phase the amount of DNA doubles, it doubles, whereas the number of chromosomes remains same. Number of chromosomes remains same. That means only one set of chromosome. But if we compare it with that of somatic cells, so since the amount of DNA is double in the haploid gametes, so in diploid that means there are two set of chromosomes, so it will be double of this, that means 4 times, right? Similarly, the number of chromosomes is same, that means only one set of chromosomes, so this will be doubled in the somatic cells. Okay, so it will be doubled as compared to the gamete. Okay, so the number of chromosomes will be doubled and the amount of DNA will be 4 times. Okay, so let's see. First, the number of chromosomes, that means twice the number of chromosomes and 4 times the amount of DNA. Option number B will be the correct answer. Question number 72 is from the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation, and the question is, alleles are, options are true breeding homozygotes, different molecular forms of gene, heterozygotes, and different phenotype. So this is very simple. The correct answer is different molecular forms of gene. For example, if we talk about the gene for height, that is for tall or dwarf, we use different genes. Okay, for tall we use capital T, for dwarf we use small t, but both are the genes for height only. That means these are different forms of genes, different forms of the same gene. Okay, forms of same gene. Therefore alleles are different molecular forms of genes. So capital T and small t are known as alleles. Okay, so this is the allele. So option B will be the correct answer. Question number 73 is from the chapter Cell, the Unit of Life, and the question is, select the correct matching in the following pairs. So in the first one, smooth endoplasmic reticulum is matched with synthesis of lipids, and this is the correct answer. Okay, so smooth endoplasmic reticulum are involved in the synthesis of lipids, and the rough endoplasmic reticulum are involved in the synthesis of protein. Okay, because they contain the ribosomes, which are site for protein synthesis. Okay, ribosomes are site for protein synthesis. Therefore option number A is the correct answer. Question number 74 is from the chapter Structural Organization in Animals, and the question is, the terga, sterna and pleura of cockroach body are joined by, options are muscular tissue, arthrodial membrane, cartilage and cementing glue. Okay, so what is terga? Terga means dorsal sclerites. Okay, dorsal sclerites. Then sterna means ventral sclerites. And pleura are lateral sclerites. Okay, now these three are joined together by a soft, colorless and flexible membrane known as arthrodial membrane. Arthrodial membrane. And this is also known as the intersegmental membrane or intersegmental membrane. Therefore, the correct answer will be option number B, arthrodial membrane. Question number 75 is from the chapter Animal Kingdom, and the question is, which of the following represents the correct combination without any exception? Okay, so in the first one it is given that mouth is ventral, gills without operculum, skin with placoid scales and a persistent notochord, and it is matched with chondric thighs. So this is a correct match. Okay, all the characteristics belong to the class chondric thighs. Now let's come to the second one. Sucking and circular mouth, jaws absent, integument without scales and paired appendages. So this is matched with cyclostomata. So everything is correct except paired appendages. Okay, paired appendages are absent in cyclostomata. So this is not a correct match. Then let's come to the third one. Here it is about the aves, that is birds. And the characteristics mentioned is body covered with feathers, skin moist and glandular, forelimbs form wings, lungs with air sacs. So yes, their body is covered with feathers, but their skin is not moist and glandular. Instead, it is dry and non-glandular. Okay, dry and non-glandular. Other things are correct. For example, forelimbs are modified into wings. Then lungs are filled with air sacs. So only one thing is incorrect, that their skin is dry and non-glandular, not moist and glandular. Okay, so this is also an incorrect match. Now the last one is mammary gland, hair on body, pinna and two pairs of limbs is matched with mammalia. So see, these characteristics are correct for mammalia, but the pinna is not present in all the mammals. There is an exception. Okay, it is not present in the egg-laying mammals, that is monotreme. Monotreme, that is egg-laying mammals. They do not have pinna. So there is an exception here. So this is also incorrect. The only correct combination without any exception is the first one. Okay, therefore first one, so option A will be the correct answer. Question number 76 is from the chapter Biomolecules, and the question is, which of the following statements is incorrect? So let's see. The first statement says, in competitive inhibition, the inhibitor molecule is not chemically changed by the enzyme. So this is a correct statement. Okay, what happens in competitive inhibition? Suppose this is the substrate molecule, and this is the enzyme. This is the active site of the enzyme where the substrate has to bind. But in case of competitive inhibition, there is the presence of an inhibitor which prevents the binding of substrate to the active site of the enzyme. Instead, this inhibitor binds at the active site of the enzyme, forming an enzyme inhibitor complex. Okay, so this is the inhibitor. This is the inhibitor. This is the enzyme inhibitor complex. Inhibitor complex. So there is no chemical change in the inhibitor, okay, during this process. Therefore, the first statement is correct. Now, the second statement says the competitive inhibitor does not affect the rate of breakdown of the enzyme substrate complex. So this inhibitor prevents the binding of substrate to the active site of the enzyme, but the complex of substrate and enzyme, suppose there is a substrate enzyme complex that is already formed, that is not affected by this inhibitor. Okay, so this is also a correct statement. Then the third one is the presence of competitive inhibitor decreases the Km of the enzyme for the substrate. This is incorrect because the Km of the enzyme for the substrate increases, okay? It does not decrease. It increases by the presence of the inhibitor, okay? So what happens during this process? The Vmax, the maximum velocity, remains unchanged, but the Km increases. What is Km? Km is the substrate concentration at which the reaction rate is 50% of the Vmax. Okay. So since the inhibitor interferes with the binding of the substrate, that means Km will increase. Okay. So this is incorrect. Now the last statement says the competitive inhibitor reacts reversibly with the enzyme to form an enzyme inhibitor complex. This is also a correct statement. So the only incorrect statement is option number C. So this will be the correct answer. Question number 77 is from the chapter Neural Control and Coordination, and the question is, which of the following regions of the brain is incorrectly paired with its function? So in the first one, cerebellum is matched with language comprehension, which is an incorrect match. Okay, so the part of the brain that plays an important role in processing and comprehension of language is the cerebrum, not cerebellum. Okay, cerebrum. Now let's come to the second one. Here corpus callosum is matched with communication between the left and right cerebral cortices. So what is corpus callosum? It is a thick band of nerve fiber that connects the right and left hemispheres. Okay, and thus it forms the basis of communication in the two hemispheres. So this is a correct match. Now the third one is cerebrum. It is matched with calculation and contemplation. Yes, this is also a correct match. Cerebrum is responsible for many functions that is mainly associated with calculation, contemplation, memory. Okay, so these things. So this is the correct match. And the last one is medulla oblongata, and that is matched with homeostatic control. This is also a correct match. Let's see how. We know that medulla oblongata is part of the brain stem. Okay, it is part of the brain stem. Now, the cardio-regulatory center is present in the medulla oblongata. Okay, it contains the cardio-regulatory center. Regulatory center. Now, this cardio-regulatory center responds to the signal given by the baroreceptors. Okay, it responds to the signal given by the baroreceptors. And these baroreceptors are involved in the regulation of blood pressure. Regulation of blood pressure, which is a homeostatic mechanism. It is a homeostatic mechanism. So this is how the medulla oblongata is involved in the homeostatic control. So we can see that only incorrectly paired match is option number A. So this will be the correct answer. Question number 78 is from the chapter Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants, and the question is, which one of the following statements is not true? So the first statement is, pollen grains of some plants cause severe allergies and bronchial afflictions in some people, which is a correct statement. Then the second statement says the flowers pollinated by flies and bats secrete foul odor to attract them. This is also a correct statement. Then the third one says honey is made by bees by digesting the pollen collected from the flowers, which is incorrect. This is a very common thing that the honey is made by digesting the nectar that is received from the flowers, right? From the nectar, not the pollens. And then these are stored in the primary food source in wax honeycombs inside the beehive. Okay, so these are stored in honeycombs inside the beehives. Now the last statement says pollen grains are rich in nutrients and they are used in the form of tablets and syrup. So this is also a correct statement. Okay, the only incorrect statement is the third one. So option C will be the correct answer. Question number 79 is from the chapter Human Health and Disease, and the question is, the active form of entamoeba histolytica feeds upon option A, mucosa and submucosa of colon only, then food in intestine, then blood only, and the last option is erythrocytes, mucosa and submucosa of colon. So what is Entamoeba histolytica? It is a protozoan parasite, right? It is a protozoan parasite that is responsible for the disease amoebiasis. Okay, amoebiasis is caused by the Entamoeba histolytica and it occurs in the large intestine. Okay, large intestine, and causes the internal inflammation of the intestine. Okay, now these active form of Entamoeba histolytica feed upon the red blood cells, that is erythrocytes, then mucosa and submucosa of colon. So option D will be the correct answer. Now you can relate this question number 80 with human health and disease as well as reproductive health. And the question is, which of the following viruses is not transferred through semen of an infected male? Options are human immunodeficiency virus, chikungunya virus, Ebola virus, and hepatitis B virus. Okay. So the correct answer will be chikungunya virus because these are transmitted by the mosquitoes. Okay. Mosquitoes, whereas other options are transmitted by the body fluids including semen. Okay, so the correct answer will be option number B. Question number 81 is from the chapter Evolution, and the question is, a population will not exist in Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium if option A, there are no mutations, option B, there is no migration, option C, the population is large, and option D, individuals mate selectively. Okay, so according to the Hardy-Weinberg principle, the allelic frequency in a population are stable and constant. Okay, so let's write it down here. The allele frequency in a population are stable and constant from generation to generation. But this is possible only in the absence of any external forces. Okay, in the absence of external forces such as mutation, selection, genetic drift and migration. Okay, that means the absence of these factors are favorable for Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Okay, so in the first option we have there are no mutations, that means there is absence of mutation. Okay, so this is favorable for Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Then there is no migration. Again, migration is an external factor, so the absence of migration is favorable for Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Then the population is large. This is also favorable for Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium because when the population is large, then the changes in allele frequency due to chance or accident will be insignificant. Okay, so changes in allele frequency will be insignificant. Now, the last one is individuals mate selectively. So we have seen that there should not be any selection, okay, because it is assumed that there will be random mating, okay, in case of Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So there should be absence of selection. So if individuals mate selectively, then Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium will not exist. Therefore, option D will be the correct answer. Question number 82 is from the chapter Biological Classification, and the question is, the guts of cow and buffalo possess. Options are chlorella, methanogens, cyanobacteria and fucus. So this is very simple. We know that the bacteria which are found in the guts of ruminant animals such as cow and buffalo are methanogens, okay, and these are responsible for the production of methane gas. Okay, so option B will be the correct answer. Question number 83 is from the chapter Sexual Reproduction and Flowering Plants, and the question is, the hilum is a scar on the option A, fruit where it was attached to pedicel, option B, fruit where style was present, option C, seed where micropyle was present, and option D, seed where funicle was attached. Okay, so let's see. The hilum is a scar on the ovule, and another name of ovule is seed. Okay, so option A and option B cannot be the correct answer because hilum is present on the seed, not fruit. Okay. Now let's see the structure of the ovule to understand what is hilum. This is the ovule. Now the ovule has protective covering. Okay, double layered protective covering which are known as integuments. So this is outer integument, and this is inner integument. So as you can see, the integument is present all over the body of the ovule except at the tip. Okay, so there is an opening on the tip that is known as micropyle, and at this opening, that is micropyle, the protective covering or the integument is absent. Okay, so there is no integument on the micropyle, right? So this end is known as micropylar end, and the end opposite to the micropylar end is known as chalazal end. Okay, now we know that the ovule is attached to the placenta. Okay, so in what way it is attached to the placenta? It is attached with the help of a stalk. This is the stalk that is known as funicle. Okay, so with the help of funicle, what is funicle? It is a stalk that attaches ovule with the placenta. Okay, now why funicle is important? Because the region at which the ovule is attached to the funicle, this region is known as hilum. Okay, so hilum is a region where ovule fuses with the funicle. Fuses with the funicle. Or we can say that it is a junction. Hilum is a junction between ovule and funicle. Okay, ovule and funicle. Therefore, what will be the correct answer? Option D. Hilum is a scar on the seed where funicle was attached. Okay, option D is the correct answer. Question number 84 is from the chapter Ecosystem, and the question is, secondary succession takes place on or in. Options are degraded forest, newly created pond, newly cooled lava, and bare rock. Okay, so we know that the succession is of different types. For example, in case of primary succession, what happens? A new area is colonized. A new area is colonized. So this area was previously not colonized. Okay, but in case of secondary succession, a previously occupied area, is recolonized. Okay, recolonized. So this area was previously occupied, but due to some reason, if it has been destroyed, then it has to be recolonized, and this will be known as secondary succession. Okay, so let's see. In the first option, we have degraded forest. That means the forest was previously occupied, but due to some reason, it was degraded or destroyed. So it will the secondary succession will take place in the degraded forest. Okay, then the second option is newly created pond. So as it is clear that this is a newly created pond, that means this is a new area. Okay, so here the primary succession will take place. The newly cooled lava, again primary succession, because there were no colonization in these areas. Then bare rock, that means again no colonization previously, that means again primary succession will take place here. So the only correct answer is option number A, degraded forest. Question number 85 is from the chapter Plant Kingdom, and the question is, which one of the following statements is wrong? So the first statement says agar agar is obtained from gelidium and gracil area, which is a correct statement. Okay, so Gelidium and Gracilleria are examples of rhodophyceae or red algae. Red algae, and agar-agar is obtained from these red algae. Now next statement says chlorella and spirulina are used as space food. So yes, this is also a correct statement. These are examples of green algae. Green algae, that is chlorophyceae. Then the third statement says mannitol is stored food in rhodophyceae, that is red algae. Okay, rhodophyceae means red algae. So this is an incorrect statement because mannitol is the stored food that is found in the brown algae, that is phaeophyceae. Okay, phaeophyceae, brown algae. Then the last statement says algin and carrageen. Algin and carrageen are products of algae. This is also a correct statement. Okay. So the only incorrect statement is option number C. So it will be the correct answer. Question number 86 is from the chapter Organisms and Population, and the question is the following graph depicts changes in two populations A and B of herbivores in a grassy field. A possible reason for these changes is that, okay, so there is a grassy field, that means the resource is same, food resource is same for both the populations. But if we look at the graph of population A, it goes like this. Okay, that means it was stable for some time, after that it decreased. Okay, the number of organisms decreased, whereas for population B the graph went like this. That means the graph increased, the number of populations increased. What does it mean? It means that in the same resource the population B was able to strive. Okay, it was able to strive for the available food, right? For the available food, whereas population A was not able to do this. Okay, so population A decreased because it was not well adapted, not well adapted as compared to the population B. Okay, therefore it could not strive for the available food. So what should be the correct answer? Let's see the options. The first option says population B completed more successfully port food than population A. Yes, it is quite obvious from the graph. Okay, option B says that the population A produced more offspring than population B, which is incorrect, because if population A would have produced more offsprings, then the number of organisms would have increased and the graph would go up, but it is not so. Okay, so option B is incorrect. Option C says population A consumed the members of population B, which is incorrect. Then the last one says both plant populations in this habitat decrease. It is incorrect because only population A decreased. Okay, whereas for population B it increased. So the correct answer is option number A. Question number 87 is from the chapter Human Health and Disease, and the question is match each disease with its correct type of vaccine. So what is vaccine? It is a harmless form of pathogen. Okay, harmless form of pathogen. Either the pathogen can be weakened or the pathogen can be killed. Okay, anyway it should be harmless, and it is injected into the body, injected into the body, so that the body starts producing antibody against the pathogen. Okay, now let's see. The first disease that is mentioned is tuberculosis, and tuberculosis is a bacterial disease. Okay, it is caused by the bacteria Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So in this disease the vaccine that is used is the harmless form of this bacteria, harmless bacteria. And which bacteria? Mycobacterium, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So the correct match for A will be number 4. Okay, harmless bacteria. Then the second disease that is mentioned is whooping cough. It is also a bacterial disease, and in this, since this whooping cough disease is highly contagious, therefore killed bacteria is used here. Okay, killed bacteria, and the name of the bacteria is Bordetella pertussis. So the correct match for B will be number 3, killed bacteria. Third disease is diphtheria. Diphtheria is also a bacterial disease, and the name of the bacteria is Corynebacterium diphtheriae. Okay, so in this, the vaccine that is used for diphtheria is produced from the purified inactivated toxin from the strain of this bacteria. Okay, from the strain of bacterium, and the name of the bacterium is Corynebacterium diphtheriae. Okay, so inactivated toxin, that means option number 2, this one. Okay, C will be matched with the second one, inactivated toxin. Then the last disease that is mentioned is polio. Now polio is a viral disease. Okay, it is caused by the polio virus. So in order to give vaccine for polio, the harmless form of this virus is injected. Okay, harmless virus is given as the vaccine. So the correct match for D will be the first one, harmless virus. So out of the given options, the correct answer will be, the correct option will be option number B. Okay, it shows the correct matches. Question number 88 is from the chapter Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants, and the question is, which of the following are the important floral rewards to the animal pollinators? Options are nectar and pollen grains, floral fragrance and calcium crystals, protein pellicle and stigmatic exudates, and color and large size of the flowers. So it's very easy. We know that nectar and pollen grains are the floral rewards to the animal pollinators. Okay, so option A will be the correct answer. Question number 89 is from the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation, and the question is, an abnormal human baby with triple X sex chromosomes was born due to option A, formation of abnormal ova in the mother, option B, fusion of two ova and one sperm, option C, fusion of two sperms and one ovum, and option D, formation of abnormal sperms in the father. Okay, so this defect occurs in women, okay, who inherit triple X chromosome. So their genotype becomes triple X, right? Now, we know that the father will have one X chromosome and one Y chromosome. Similarly, the mother will have two X chromosomes. Now, during meiosis, father will produce two types of gametes, one containing the X chromosome and the other containing the Y chromosome, okay? So either of these two will take part in the fertilization. Similarly, mother will produce only one type of ova containing X chromosome. But if the meiosis fails to occur in mother, what will happen? The ova will contain double X chromosome because meiosis has not taken place. Okay, so this defect is mainly due to some disturbance in meiosis. Okay, so there is defect in meiosis, we can say there is defect in meiosis, and both meiosis 1 as well as meiosis 2, okay, during the gamete formation, in the mother, okay, not in father. So here there is an abnormal ova. This is not the normal ova, because in a normal ova only one X chromosome would be present. So the correct answer will be option A, formation of abnormal ova in the mother. Okay. And now the last question is from the chapter Transport in Plants, and the question is, transpiration and root pressure cause water to rise in plants by option A, pulling and pushing it respectively, then option B, pushing it upward, option C, pushing and pulling it respectively, and option D, pushing it upward. Okay, so suppose this is the plant. Okay, these are the roots and these are the leaves, right? Now, what happens in case of transpiration? Transpiration is basically a negative pressure. Okay, transpiration is a negative water vapor pressure that develops in the cells of the leaves. Okay, it develops in the leaf cells. And when this negative pressure develops, then the water is pulled up through the xylem. Okay, water is pulled up through the xylem. If we talk about the root pressure, so root pressure is not a negative pressure, instead it is a positive pressure. Okay, root pressure, it is a positive hydrostatic pressure. Hydrostatic pressure that develops in the root xylem. In the root xylem. So since there is the pressure is positive, therefore it causes the water to get pushed upwards. Okay, so water gets pushed upwards. So in the question, transpiration is mentioned first, that means pulling up, and then root pressure, that means pushing up. Okay, so pulling and pushing respectively, option number A will be the correct answer. Okay, so here we complete all the biology questions for NEET 2015 paper. We'll be back with another session soon. Till then, keep learning, keep scoring high. For a better understanding, I would suggest you to practice same questions from our website www.examsnet.com. And for more information, download our app from the link given in the description box. Thank you so much.